Hello, beautiful people, and welcome to the Beloved Wildflower. I'm your host, Danielle. If this is your first time, hello. If you've been here before, hey, thank you for stopping by today. So I wanted to share something with you. I was in deep thought today, okay? Here on the Beloved Wildflower, this channel is dedicated to healing and transforming and stepping into your authentic self. So what I realized today, after reflecting on certain things in my life, the good, the bad, the ugly, the beautiful, I realized that most of my life I was in study hall. And what I mean by that is, I truly believe this human experience is a big old classroom and everybody, it's a big old school. I always say that the wrong way. It's a big school and everybody's in class, okay? And everybody's got their own classroom, right? And so I was in study hall because study hall was comfortable. It was a space to just feel space, right? You know, study hall, you didn't do nothing in study hall. And that teacher didn't really care about being in study hall either. So you was kind of just drawing, joning on the desk, eating snacks, talking with your girlfriends. You study hall wasn't really that. It was a place to hold you until the next class, right? And so I got comfortable with study hall. Was sitting in a space that I outgrew, that wasn't benefiting me, but was comfortable. Because I knew it. I knew when the class started, I knew when it ended, I knew what to expect, which wasn't a lot. There wasn't a lot of expectations for you in study hall. You just kind of had to show up. At least for me, that's what I took it as. It was just like, okay, well, if you got homework, work on your homework. If you need help, I'll help you. But for the most part, study hall was just a space where you would just be held into the next class. And most of my life, I spent time in that classroom, holding myself back from my authentic self because I was afraid of that person. I didn't know that person. Most of my life, I spent in classrooms, and theater, in the theater classroom, right? Putting on performances, putting on masks, putting on things to benefit other people, to talk soft to people, and then tuck myself away. And then when I did pop off and I was disrespectful, I feel really guilty about it. And, I would doubt myself. I was in theater class for a long time. I was performing for folks. I was being who they wanted me to be. And shout out to Yaya's World. I love what she said. I just listened to one of her TikToks and she said people right now are tired of performing. And I'm tired of performing. I'm tired of being someone that everybody tells you need to be. I was the underachiever. Okay. I barely graduated from high school because most of my time I spent trying to be somebody else, trying to be the intelligent child instead of actually being obedient and focusing. But I also allowed things that teachers and professionals told me about myself to be what I thought of myself. For instance, reading comprehension was something that I struggled with. The biggest part of it was because I like to read out loud, and reading out loud helps me retain it. And you can't read out loud in class. So I spent most of my time in theater performing for folks, being what everybody wanted me to be, trying to be the perfect friend, the perfect mother, the perfect wife, the perfect employee, all of that. Perfection is not real. It's an illusion, right? It's something that you strive for, but you'll never achieve. And I was very religious. That was also an act that I put up, and when I say I put up with it, I went to church for everybody, not for me. I genuinely didn't want to be in those places, but I would go because that's what you did. You went to church and you tithed and you did this. And I just wanted to be right with God. And I thought that was the way. And then I realized that, hold on, baby, you got religion. You don't have a relationship with the Most High. And the Most High don't care how much you perform. The Most High don't care about how many times you sitting in church and how many times you tithe. And he's judging the contents of your heart. And you're being unauthentic by sitting in this church because you don't want to be here. Because you could read scripture at home. That's what I was thinking, right? That's what in my head, that's what I was thinking. So I was pretending to be religious. I was pretending to be the best friend, to be the best wife, to be the best mom. And really and truly, it was a front because deep down inside, I knew that I was already a great person. I just was afraid to actually show that great person and be bold enough to say, no, this is who I am. You either like it or you don't. So theater class, study hall was big for me most of my life. And at my big age of 38 right now, and I'm like, I'm tired of performing. I'm tired of being in theater class. I'm tired of tucking my authentic self away to make people feel good. I'm tired of holding my tongue back and saying, well, I can't say that or you can't speak on that because, you can't have these kind of conversations. These kind of conversations cause controversy. Well, everybody, you're going to have something to say about something. Everybody's going to have something to say about something. And at this point in my life, I don't care. And public speaking was a class I stayed in too. I would just observe people. And when it was time for me to get on stage and public speak, I would get scared and I would go to the back of the classroom because I was afraid. So these different classrooms I've been sitting in for years, working on perfecting my speech and I gotta be perfect when I get in front of the camera and I'm afraid to show my creative skills and my talent. I'm afraid to use my voice because I'm still working on this public speaking thing in this public speaking classroom, right? And when I get called on to speak, I'm scared, right? So those are the classrooms I spent most of my life in. And I'm at a point now where I'm saying, no, it's time to graduate. It's time to be your authentic self. And what does that even look like? Excuse me. I don't know her. I've been performing for most of my life. I've been trying to be exceptional at everything, and it's not obtainable. I can be great at a lot of things, but to be perfect in every single thing that I do, I can't do that. And I'm exhausted trying. I strive to be a Proverbs wife and a great mom. I strive to be a great listener, working on that. I strive to be exceptional in the eyes of the Most High. And that's really and truly every single day I'm gauging myself like, Most High, how am I doing? Am I okay? And so I just want to encourage you today to get out of your way. And whatever classroom you've been stuck in for a long time, it's okay. You could graduate. It's all right. We all been stuck in certain classrooms in our lives, and we've been conditioned to believe that you are supposed to stay in certain classrooms. Like we're all supposed to be in performance arts constantly because we're doing everything in our power to please everyone. And so we're trying to make sure that the audience is always satisfied. But a lot of the time, the audience will never be satisfied, no matter what you do. I don't care if you're a millionaire on a yacht and you give back hundreds of thousands of dollars a year and you have a pure heart and you've got good intentions. Somebody will find a flaw. Like someone would say your sideburns is jacked up. You're never, ever, ever going to satisfy everybody, baby. So, graduate from performance arts and stop performing for folks and stop caring about what everybody has to say. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. And at my big age of 38, I'm realizing it's okay. Sometimes you might see the shadow on my mustache because I didn't wax it. And my eyebrows might look like Bert and Ernie's. And my locks might just be... I'm going to stutter and fumble over my words, right? It's okay. It's okay. So if you're tired of performing, take that mask off and reveal who you really are. Because like I always say, you have a great labyrinth. And it is your fingerprint. And that is your purpose. And you got to stand at the threshold of that labyrinth and realize that you must go on a journey, what I call a Zelda quest, in order to get to the you that's really you. The authentic you, the immortal aspect of yourself that you took away so that you can fit into the carnal reality. But the Most High said, you're not supposed to be carnal. You're supposed to be supernatural. You're supposed to be popping off knowing that you are powerful and that not even death can stop you, because Christ told you that when you die, you actually become something new, which is why he resurrected, right? So your immortal aspect of yourself, your genuine aspect of yourself is calling you to do great things and to be wonderful in this life and to enjoy this life. But your carnal self is saying, no, fall back. And that's you performing. That's you wearing a mask. That is you telling yourself you're not good enough. You don't have enough. You're not ready. You're not bright enough. You're not pretty enough. You're not handsome enough. You don't have enough money. You don't have enough followers. You don't have enough support. Who cares? When I did my first... let me see, my first book reading at the library in the Castleton area by North Central. I think that was my first book reading for Ruth's Greatest Creation. My husband had to work. because I had quit my job at that time and I just started another job. So he was working, so he couldn't be there. But my husband's always supported all my dreams. He's the reason why I have this. But he couldn't be there. There was nobody in the audience that I knew, not one person. And at first it hurt really, really, really bad. Because I was like, I don't have not one person that I know that I love in the audience. And what it taught me is that you don't need that support if you're your biggest cheerleader. And yes, that support is nice. And yes, it's wonderful. And yes, it's a great feeling when you have people support you. But when you can big up yourself and be your greatest supporter, all of that is extra. And so recently, last year, one of the things I said I wanted to do was step out and do a poetry reading. And I was so nervous. I was going through all the poems that I had ever wrote. And I was like, oh my gosh, what poem am I going to read? Right? I went to Indie Reads and I did a poetry reading. And I was like, what poem am I going to read? Right? None of these are good enough. I just kept telling myself, none of these are good enough. And I ended up writing a poem that day about a flower. Now, I don't know where I put that poem, but I didn't tell anybody. And it was from that first experience of looking out in the audience and knowing nobody that you love or that you care about is in the audience for your first book reading. I had put it all over social media. I had shared it. I had told everybody. But for some reason, nobody could be there. And that was a teachable lesson for me from the Most High, that you have to be your biggest supporter. Everybody's not going to support your dream. Everybody's not going to understand what it takes to get to that dream. And everybody's not going to take the time to invest in your dream because it's your dream. And so when I did the poetry reading and I wrote the poem that day, I felt like I was at the top of a roller coaster. I was terrified. And then the audience was my husband and my children, but I didn't have any other family members. Like the only person that knew was my husband. And I said, I'm just going to do it. It was like a random Tuesday. I was like, this Tuesday, I'm going to go do this reading. And he said, okay. They ran in the rain, right? And when I say a big support, like I didn't have a big team out in the audience. My husband was there and my children were there, my tiny tribe. And I remember my mom saying, why didn't you tell us that, you were doing it? And I was like nervous actually to have that much support because it puts a lot of pressure on you when you do have a lot of people in the audience, looking at you. But like I said, I learned from that first experience that sometimes when you look out in the audience, it's just going to be you showing up for you. And that's okay. There's no ill feelings or ill intentions towards anybody. There's no, I'm not mad at anybody. It taught me something very valuable. And so when I did the poetry reading, like I said, I didn't have a big crowd. I had my tiny little people, my tiny tribe. My husband was smiling from ear to ear. And it was a wonderful experience. But I had to break myself out of my comfort zone. And I'm slowly doing that. Like in different ways in my life. I'm slowly doing it, recording right now. Is helping me to break myself from those insecurities and those fears and that person in the background and study hall and all that chatter, those people on the bleachers, which end up being multiple aspects of yourself that tell you that you're not good enough. All of these little voices saying, don't do it, don't pursue it. Who's going to care what you have to say, right? And I just want to encourage you today to go after that dream and go after that goal. And you're going to see more of me on here. Sometimes I'm not going to look nice. Sometimes I am. Hey, I'm going to be me. So I hope that you're having a great day today. And I hope that you enjoy yourself and enjoy your Zelda quest. This is your experience. This is your life. And I will be posting more on this channel. More recordings, Wildflowers in the Attic, old voice recordings that I had, old poetry, different things like that. And it's not going to be perfect, but it's going to be authentic. So, what's my exit? I wrote down, because I want to be more professional eventually. So I wrote down what my intro is going to be. So here's the exit. Okay. Thank you, beautiful people, for stopping by today on the Beloved Wildflower. I'm your host, Danielle, Signing out, as always, remember that no matter how chaotic this life is, the scales of life are always balanced. You are in the right character for your life story, and there's a wildflower blooming somewhere. Until the next time, be kind to yourself and everyone else. Peace.